Thank you for tuning in to Ask Ron, where Ron answers our Closers Club members' questions each and every week. I'm Adel, and of course I have Ron here. How you doing today, Ron?
I'm excellent. I'm right in the middle of a quick start real estate school, and they're all out at lunch, and I'm sitting here working.
Well, just a reminder, if you have any questions you'd like to ask Ron, make sure you're a Closers Club member. You can get all the details at reclosersclub.com. You can post your questions in the community page, or if you prefer email ask@ronlegrand.com. First questions from our favorite Tony and Angie. Ron, a lot of investors in my local RIA are bringing up equity partners to cover upfront costs, things like down payments, back taxes, or reinstatement funds in exchange for a share of the profits or cash flow. The idea is it lets them do more deals without tying up all their own capital. What's your take on this? Is giving up a piece of something the smartest move if it means you can do more of them?
Well, Tony, it depends on what the piece is. All right. I don't think I'd give up. I used to give up half. For a long time, I gave up half, but then I got to thinking I don't want to give up half just to get, especially a little bit of money. As you know, today I partner with folks, but that's cost them 75%. So I'm the last person to partner with. I would partner with you anyway until you've been trained at my Quick Start School on houses and on commercial property at my commercial property boot camp. And the reality is, if you don't have the training, you're not going to accomplish anything anyway. So I don't have any problem with you partnering with somebody if it's a fair deal. And here's the big one. When somebody says, I want to partner with you, you ask them, what do you have in mind? And you might find out they just want some kind of rate of return on their money. For example, if they put up $10,000 and you give them back $12,000 in a couple of months, when you put a tenant buyer in the house, that's a big rate of return for them. If in the terms business, that's reality. Now, if they're putting up the money to rehab the house, you're not going to get paid for 5 or 6 months later. That might require a bigger rate of return from them. Even when we, get a person to make the loan, a private lender, I mean, they get 8%. But if somebody is in the real estate industry and they tell you they want to partner with you, I imagine that 50-50 is on their mind. And I don't think you should give that much up for a small amount of money you're only going to use for a little while.
All right, so next question from Phil. He's got 3 separate questions. First one, when filling out a purchase and sell contract on a seller finance wrap deal with $7,000 in arrears, where does everything go on the contract? Do the arrears go in C and the balance in E? Just kind of give them where they go.
Okay, well, in the arrears are going to be paid, so obviously you're going to be putting enough down to cover the arrears, and you just put that in 1C. But of course, all of their expenses are coming out of that down payment, so that's not what the seller's getting. But that'll cover whatever you need to bring the payments current. So you might want to put something in there to make sure that number is real. Okay, if that number changes, then your down payment's going to change, and I guess you can always change that. Just tell the seller that. You can change that before the actual closing anyway. So easiest thing, put it in paragraph 1C.
All right, question 2. On a recent closing, we got hit with a surprise $5,000 HOA transfer fee right at the table. The buyer threatened to walk. I made the call to pay it myself to save the deal, figuring part of something was better than 100% of nothing. Any thoughts on how to handle a situation like that? How do we avoid being caught off guard by HOA fees in the future?
Well, that's pretty simple. Whoever's calling on the property information sheet's going to get that information, and if they don't, you will when you call. Because if it's a condo or a townhouse, it's got HOA fees. And sometimes if it's a house, it's got HOA fees. That's just one of the upfront questions that you get very quickly. And then, of course, that may not show on a title search. So if it's a house, I would ask anyway, when you talk to the seller, ask them, is there any HOA fees?
Gotcha.
And then the seller is responsible for that if it's in arrears anyway, so they'd have to pay it whether they keep that buyer or not.
All right, question 3. I'm running into HUD down payment assistance loans alongside the first mortgage. These don't have monthly payments. The balance stays the same and only gets paid off when the property sells, showing up as an additional lien on title. Is there anything I need to watch out for when doing seller finance wrap on a property that has one of these?
I'd have to know the terms of that HUD loan before I could answer that, because there's probably stuff in there that would trigger them calling the loan due. You say it's without interest, that's hard for me to believe. So I'd put it under contract, but then I'd certainly want to check that out before we closed. And if it don't work out, you just cancel the contract. That'll puts them under contract all the time with a $10 deposit. So the $10 is the most you can lose. There is no purchase and sale agreement in the country that makes the buyer responsible for anything. It's all on the seller to be responsible. The most that you can lose is the deposit. That's $10. That's what we use for FSBOs. Other than that, I can't tell you anything about that second until I find out what's the deal on it. There's got to be some conditions in it, or they wouldn't get the money. And I imagine, of course, if they find out you've sold a house, they might call that loan due. But again, I don't know how big that loan is. Maybe it does need to get paid off at closing. It's the seller's responsibility.
All right.
No matter who they sell it to, it's their responsibility.
Yeah. Got it. All right, Gypsy in California. Ron, what happens if the bank calls the loan due on a subject to or wrap deal? When does that typically happen in the process? What should I do if it does? And what do I tell the seller to keep them from panicking?
I answered that one actually yesterday, but I'll answer it again. First of all, you worry too much. The bank is not going to call a loan due if the payments are current. The last thing a bank wants is a house. There's no way they're going to call it due. There's not. They can, but they won't. Now, let's say they did, okay? Every time I buy a house with seller financing or subject to, they got to sign a CYA letter, I call it. Now, on the Closers Club, it's called Seller's Acknowledgement. You can look it up under, let me see, it's either training or resources. It's under resources. And the seller's going to sign that. And it says if the bank calls the loan due that you're not responsible for it, and you're not accepting the responsibility. So I'll tell you, in all my years, in all my houses, I've never had the bank call a loan due, but maybe on your first one, they'll make an example out of you. You need to quit worrying about that crap. And don't even think about calling the bank or contacting the bank in any way, shape, or form and stirring up a mess. Most problems in real estate are self-inflicted. Mostly what comes out of your mouth. Just shut up and buy the house. Now you're buying it without liability. There's no way anybody can hurt you. No way anybody can collect money from you. The worst that can happen is they foreclose and they get the house. And I wouldn't even let them do that. If they want to foreclose, I'll just deed them the house. Okay? Save everybody money. And if they foreclose, your name ain't going to come up. The trustee's name will come up as trustee because you're going to buy it in a land trust. So I don't have to send Guido out after you.
All right, we got Lucky here. I'm going to go through his deal here.
I go through his deal.
Yesterday he got a text message from one of his car advertising. He has his car wrapped. He got a text message at 4:15. Called the seller at 4:30. Met at the property at 6:15. Had a contract signed by 6:30 p.m. So the numbers are VA loan balance 160. Purchase price 185, ARV 195, 27-year term, PITI is 1450 a month.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good cash flow there.
He wants to thank you for the tip about delaying the first payment until the 3 months after closing. Mm-hmm. But his question is, when I place a tenant buyer in the property with an annual HOA fee of $400, do you typically collect the $400 up front, or you divide it by 12 and include it in the monthly payment?
I divide it by 12 and include it in the rent. If they don't make monthly payments, they pay rent, and then I pay it when it's due.
Got it.
And I do not let them pay it directly. I learned that lesson the hard way.
Yes, sir.
They somehow forget to do that.
Yeah. The second question from Lucky: what was the fastest deal you ever closed from the first call to having a signed agreement?
Lucky. I've done over 3,000 of them, and I can't remember. All of them I just don't remember, and I don't know the fastest deal I've ever done. I've done some pretty fast ones. Oh, probably a wholesale deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have done wholesale deals that you're in and out in 9 days.
Yeah.
And not touch the house, not buy the house, not pay any closing costs, and all with a $10 deposit to a FSBO.
Yeah.
So that's probably the fastest, but he didn't. He put them in there on terms, the way I read that.
Yep,
right?
yep. He had a signed contract that day, and I think he closed on it recently. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the last one's kind of a lesson of the week here that we had one of our members share on the community page. I thought it would be a good lesson here. We want to share a lesson from one of our members that's worth passing along. They had a wraparound mortgage deal in a high-end community that took nearly 90 days to find the right buyer. They even made an extra mortgage payment out of pocket to keep it alive. When they finally found a buyer, they did everything right, screened them, verified income, ran background checks, met with the family, reviewed all the closing docs. But then they made one costly mistake. The buyer asked to put down only part of the required down payment and promised to pay the rest within 30 days. They had a notarized promissory note, but the payment never came, and now they're in litigation. As Ron always says, scared money makes poor decisions. The fear of losing the deal overrode their better judgment, and it cost them. They wanted to share it openly so others don't have to learn it the hard way like they did.
Well, what is the lesson there? Never believe what anybody tells you. All sellers are liars and all buyers are worse. So, I mean, you created the deal. Some now, here's the keys, and some later. I would have never done that. Okay, I would have passed and found somebody else with more money to put down. Now, I'll tell you what I learned. Every time I lose a deal, there's a better one right behind it. So you're going to lose a lot of deals out there today. Don't even worry about it. Well, in this case, I think they already bought it.
Yeah, it's a tenant buyer was in there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And from chaos management, because they couldn't find a buyer in 90 days, they accepted probably too little down. And a minimum I'm going to take is 5%. In fact, don't forget, I'd let the world know that I would accept trades. What do you got to trade? I mean, a car, boat, truck, trailer, motorhome, mobile home, stock, bonds, jewelry. What do you got to trade? I'll take it anything. I'll look at anything. Okay? I usually give them about half of what it's worth as credit. Now, especially if they got a Harley, because every man's got to have a Harley. You can't get to heaven without a Harley, right, guys? Okay. I've never gotten a Harley, but I've had several motorcycles that I got like that. And anyway, I wouldn't take a little bit down and put them in the house. Once they're in the house, their itch is scratched, and they forget about the promise, and now you got a lot more to deal with. And also, I don't know what kind of an agreement you put them under, whether you can even enforce it or not. You say you're in litigation. I doubt I'd have ever been in litigation. I would not let it go into litigation, because you got to understand, especially if it's in a liberal state with a liberal judge. All right. So then you're the big bad landlord with the big top hat, and you're punishing people and taking advantage of them. You know, that's what some people think about real estate investors. Something that small, I would have never taken it to court. Now, that's not saying I wouldn't have had my attorney write them a letter threatening to take them to court, but I wouldn't. I'd pass it. Look, quit crying over spilled milk. Go milk another cow. And you ask me what to do in the future. I think you got your answer yourself, what not to do in the future. And by the way, nobody's going to go out there and buy houses on a regular basis and not do stupid stuff till they learn what stupid stuff is. And us men, we got to do it about 3 times wrong before we're actually going to correct it. It's not our fault. It's testosterone. We can't help it. Right? That's why we need a woman making decisions.
All right. Well,
all right. Nothing. That's it.
Yeah, that's our last question. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we got a lot coming up. Make sure you keep up with us, guys. And if you're still a Gold Club member, you need to get converted to Closers Club right away. Just call us. No charge. If you're getting charged $99 a month, that goes down to $59. So if I do it with you, I do it right away. We got 3 levels. Go to reclosersclub.com and you'll learn all about it. We got some really cool stuff in there. So I'll see you this time next week.